Welcome to my tropical garden. This is the 13th of March 2012. Shortly we'll be going through the door. And here we have my seedlings. We have some full-size tomato seedlings, a tray of failed seedlings next to it, and some struggling spring onion seedlings. Behind this, when I can get the focus in, we have my cherry tomatoes, yellow and red cherry tomatoes, which are grown from seeds that I bought in the UK. They're okay, but they're looking a bit scrappy. Here's an update 3 days later, and they're looking much nicer. They've started to ripen up. Also, the seedlings for spring onions, and my tomato plants are improving. The tomato plants have grown some extra leaves and they'll be ready to transplant into pots. In front we have some basil, some peppers growing to the right hand side, a couple of indoor plants as I've got outdoors, a caterpillar eating swede, behind that we have some thyme, some cherry tomatoes that were given me by one of my neighbours, and in the tubs behind we have carrots, which I've been successful with. To the left of that we have my strawberry patch, which is not doing that well because the winter sun doesn't seem to catch it properly. When I made this raised bed, I made this in the summer, but at least they're not dying. Anyway, since then I've cut down some of the trees that were shading it, so I'm hoping that we get a better result. Here are the trees that were shading it, the acacia tree and a pink pepper tree. In front of the strawberries we have some attempt at lettuce seedlings, which I've now given up on because they are badly eaten by the caterpillars. Behind that we have some assortment of herbs, some chives, some mint, some thyme, some rosemary, a couple of herbs that I don't know the names of. We also have some Welsh bunching onions there. They're used like giant chives, the bulbs are never used. This herb I've forgotten the name of. And to the right, just starting to grow again, is lemon verbena. Here's an update 3 days later, my strawberries. The weather's been fine, but in the space of 3 days the garden's certainly turned around. We've got some nice strawberries coming. To the left of my strawberry patch we have rosemary, which I've had for about 8 years, and that's very healthy, and some sage, which is beginning to recover because I put some mint in with it, and the mint seems to take over everything. However, I've stripped some of the mint out and it's beginning to recover. Front, I've got my attempt at potato in a tub. I've been very unsuccessful with my potatoes because basically I've bought seed potatoes, but none of them have succeeded. Well, I've got 1 or 2 small little marbles out. Anyway, this time I'm using just some UK imported potatoes I bought in the shop, so we'll see how they get on. To the left of that I've got some straggly banana plants. This little coppice of banana trees has produced about 10 or 15 bunches so far, but the ground now is exhausted, and I'll be giving these away to neighbours. Now we're looking at the mango trees, which 7 years. Here's an update. The potatoes are shooting well. The rosemary doesn't seem to be much difference there actually. I don't know why I updated this one. But the mangoes, if we look up, and I've got some very cheeky shots here. At the tips we're starting to get flowers. There we go. And last year I had about 80 mangoes, which is the first real year I've had any number of mangoes. There we look at the trees that I've cut down. We've got the acacia and the pink pepper tree. You can see by the different textures of the bark. These seeds, these trees produce so many seeds. The acacia, thousands of them, and the pepper tree. In front there we've got a physalis, or Cape gooseberry. There you can see the smooth trunk, that's the acacia. I mean, I never planted it by the pepper tree, it just grew. Very hard wood, very difficult to cut. We're looking there at the bark of the pepper tree. Here you can see some of the peppers that have blown off in the wind. Peppers there in my raised seed bed, which is lying fallow on the 13th. And peppers in the border I've got beside the wall. Somebody actually came around and called them Caribbean holly. They used the red peppers for Christmas as decorations around the house. And there you see the vines. These are cuttings. The vines that I have at the far side of the garden are trimmed back, and in the end of December, and they're put in pots, and there's a couple of buds starting to come now, and then they're transplanted to start new vines. There's a bud there. This is once again on the 13th. Shortly after I shall show you the difference 3 days make. Here's 3 days time. Look at the buds now. In this bin I have my compost bin and my worms. I have to keep the lid on it because the worms try to escape. I have a gauze on the bottom to stop them escaping from the bottom. This is an update. Before you saw my seed bed, now I've put some plants that I managed to get. I was surprised. I managed to buy some raspberries, gooseberries, black currants and red currants plants in a local shop. I've had trouble actually getting these in the UK when I'm back. And there's my gooseberries. I can get my thumb out the way. They're put in semi-shade, so I hope they're gonna do okay, because all the gooseberry plants I've tried have eventually died. But there they've got some lovely, lovely fertile soil underneath. There we go. Now we're going to go back to the seed bed, and the back. We're stepping down into the what's left of my lawn. Against the wall I've got a few herbs that I've taken from the herb bed you saw earlier and transplanted them. So they're beginning to establish, and I'm hoping they'll cover all this side. Parsley, some mint and some chives. Hoping the chives have already started to pick up. They seem to prefer this section of garden here than in pots. Okay, now that's what's left of my lawn, under a canopy of passion fruit. The passion fruit used to cover this wall all the way down to the end and over the other side. We used to have people the other side collecting the fruits that had flowered that side. Unfortunately, I trimmed back the vines far too strongly. As you can see here, I'm showing a vine that's dried up and died, and here's my attempt to grow some new ones. So I've got them in, I'm hoping they'll establish. However, at the same time I popped a few in some spare bit of earth that I had this side, and they've grown from left to right, whereas I was hoping the ones that I planted grow from right to left, and they're choking the vines that they're covering. Last year not so many, but the year before we had 6,000 at least that we collected passion fruit. One stage was collecting 200 a day. Now we're looking back to the corner of the garden, and we see 3 small papaya plants and the main papaya plant, which is nearly 30 feet tall. This papaya is strange because it's actually seedless. So occasionally I do get a papaya with 1 seed in, or 2 seeds in, and I've actually managed to grow 4 sons of papaya, or daughters of papaya, from this tree. It's very, very difficult to get the fruit because they are so densely, they hang so densely, and there's up at such a height. I do have a basket